Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Cucchiara.
Welcome in, Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that continue to follow the show and listen to the show. We appreciate that very much. We used to do the live Facebook feed, but we're having some challenges with that ever since COVID when we're out of our studio. So forgive us for that. We're no longer at this time anyway, temporarily not doing the live feeds, but we still want to bring this information to you, and we'll always post after we do the podcast. Of course, it's posted in all the same places, iTunes, Stitcher. You could go to RERL-1741-Breast, or we also do post it on Facebook and all the social media outlets as well for those. So I want to thank those that continue to support the show. Almost 11 years, it's hard to believe, with radio and podcasting now, and very proud of all the good information we shared with people. Those that may be listening for the first time and aren't familiar with the show, the focus started, really the objective was to share as much information and education with consumers to help them navigate real estate, regardless of its buying, selling, financing, on and on. However, all along, I have also made a commitment to give what I call giving back segments, and we do a lot of things for nonprofits and organizations, and really just getting a community message out. There's so many people and so many organizations that need help, need support, need awareness, exposure. And so we try to do our part with that as well. And so that's our show today. We're going to be doing one of our giving back segments and really talking about a very, very important issue. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so let me introduce my guest, and that is Tania Cheater. She is with Fidelity Title, and she's here to share not only her story, but really share some great information and resources for those out there either struggling with them themselves or battling it, or family members and coworkers, friends, neighbors, and entirely with everyone. So welcome in, Tania. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Yeah, I love to bring awareness to this. I was diagnosed in 2016, and it's been quite a journey, and obviously would love to give back. So just a little bit about me. Actually, today is my dad's birthday, and he would have been, it's been about 20 years that he's been gone, but he was in his early 50s when he passed away. And when I was diagnosed, I didn't know that I carried the gene that he had. So it's called the BRCA gene. Which affects men and women. Basically, it's a gene mutation that, when expressed, it causes breast cancer, prostate cancer. It's also pancreatic cancer. It can affect, it can bring on ovarian cancer and melanoma. And I know years ago, Angelina Jolie came out and said she was BRCA1, and she did the proactive, surgeries to mitigate her getting the cancer. So it was kind of out there, but I found that many people don't really know what that gene mutation is, and they don't really know that their chances of getting cancer are a lot higher when you are positive for that gene. So kind of, with my journey, I was diagnosed with invasive carcinoma, aggressive, triple negative. And for people out there, there's a couple of different, there's ER positive, and I won't go into too much detail, but triple negative is a difficult one to kind of combat. So I did have to do a more aggressive treatment with carboplatin and Taxotere chemos. So it was quite a journey. I also did the ice cap to try and save my hair. So, yeah.
Wow, that is quite a journey. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I do some scans every couple months, and they just try to make sure that everything's. I had a couple nodules on my lungs that they watch, just be really proactive. So yeah, it's good. I feel healthy. I really feel like it's catapulted me into really thinking about life and my blessings and how do I live my life day to day, and what am I doing to be proactive in staying healthy, which basically is mindset as well as, eating healthy and stuff like that. So,
well, you do.
yeah.
And for those that don't know Tania, but I'll share a little bit. I've known her for quite a few years, and regardless, you've always had a great attitude. I mean, you've always been, compassionate to people, to organizations, to groups, how you approach your business, how you approach your friendships. You've always been really, really great that way. And so I want to commend you for that. So this is obviously, to go through something like this, no one really understands unless you do. And I think the great thing is that we have this medicine, we have the care, we have the ability to go through this process, and thank God. And, it's wonderful that you're doing better now and things are looking up. So I know that one of your passions and one of your goals is to share as much information as help as many as you can. So what would you say, just talk a little bit about the organization, any organizations you've been affiliated with, or, for those that out there might be listening to the podcast, I always say it may not be the person listening to the podcast, but it may be someone that they connect with a family member, friends, coworkers. So tell us a little bit about that message you'd like to deliver today.
Yeah, well, I actually decided to make a difference. I kind of built a little website that
Nice.
It's called www.blindsidedbybraca, because I felt like it really displayed how I felt. I had no idea that I had this gene, and I felt completely blindsided by it. So on the website, I have basic information about what BRCA is, and then I also have tips for people going through chemo. I have about 20 tips on different things that I found that was super helpful. I put peppermint essential oil under my nose every 10 minutes to keep the nausea away. And so I actually never took any of the anti-nausea meds.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I know. So, obviously the day of chemo, they give it to you in your IV, but as for any time during the week or, after chemo, I never took it. So I have a lot of tips on there. I had a shake that I took every day that was a green shake. I have the ingredients on the website. I also collected the information from the people that supported me, and that were my caregivers. And I have a whole checklist for, what caregivers can do, what they can expect. I also have a little emotions corner, kind of like, these are some of the feelings you may feel, and some helpful ways to kind of get around that. And, even though some days you don't feel like getting up, it's usually the 4th or 5th day after chemo that it really hits you. And so just some things to do, basically get up, get outside, walk. Even if you don't want to walk, you want to keep your blood flowing. I ended up getting a blood clot during chemo, which it can cause that. So, I just can't emphasize enough getting up, walking around, drinking your water. So I have a whole checklist of that. And then I also have a section on there where people can go and learn more about testing. So if you knew that, your great grandmother passed away from cancer, but you didn't really know what type, you may want to, I don't get any benefit from it, but I feel like I'm super passionate about people going on to my website, taking a look at the company called Color, which is based out of Burlingame. And before I had to remove my ovaries, I did one more test. I did a second test just to make sure that I had to do this. So they were awesome. I felt like they were, really, really helpful. They were efficient. They send you a test kit. They mail it to you. You spit in the tube. You send it back. They tell you whether you're positive or not. And they've actually progressed in the last couple of years. So now they don't just tell you whether you're BRCA1, BRCA2 positive. They actually tell you whether you carry genes for diabetes or heart disease or any other things that you can kind of start earlier. And I know for me, if I knew in my 30s, and I always say this, any interview I talk to people, if I had known in my 30s that I had this mutation, I would have done life a little differently. I would have settled down. I probably would have had kids when I had the opportunity to. So it allows you to kind of really look at life and go, okay, if I know I have this, doesn't mean 100% I'm going to get it, but it just means, hey, what do I need to do to kind of figure out how to navigate this thing that could, blindside you. So.
Well, that's some great information. I'll have you give out the website again. If you give it out again and then afterwards just answer, if you can maybe go, what would you say, I guess, the people I've talked to that have gone through this type of thing, there's always 3 or 4 things or maybe 5, I don't know, as you look back and you would say, boy, really try to make sure, whether it's, people who love you as a support, prayer, maybe it's exercise, maybe it's diet, maybe it's meditation, what were the things for you, Tania, that really helped you, and maybe you could share with, I'm sure it's on your website too, but, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, gosh, that old cliche, no one fights alone. It's just, I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, you have to, for me, I was a very private person. I was a very independent person. Mm-hmm. And so for me to actually, hey, say this is what's going on in my life, that was huge. I think asking for help is huge. And just realizing that it's not a weakness, it's a strength. And to just be able to say, hey, I need help. So for me, it was definitely prayer. I think my faith grew even more, even though I've had it my whole life. So faith for sure, support, friends, family. I do think that I was, interesting fact, which I had no clue about when I was doing my PET scan. They basically run you through this whole body scan after you're diagnosed, if they think you're high risk, and they check your whole body. And I hate, small spaces. So I, was kind of, really hated that part. But so as I'm going through the tunnel, I'm asking the guy before he has the IV and he's pumping me with stuff. And I just said, what are you giving me? And he goes, oh, we're doing radiation and we're actually pumping you with sugar. Oh. And sugar will show us where the cancer is feeding. And so for me, that was like, wow, I had no idea how much what we put in our bodies affects our health, right? I mean, you always talk about it, but to really think about this is what's happening, and to think about, okay, I really need to slow down my life, and I need to really, think about how I'm doing my life, and, making sure I get out there and walk every day, and make sure that, I take my supplements, and that I have a whole kind of regime on eating healthy, which, it doesn't happen every day, but if we can really focus on the things that we can control, because there's so many things we can't control, and that's where you have faith, right? So, right.
What I've heard too, with a lot of people that have gone through different, situations similar to yours, regardless of whether it's battling cancer or other things, life issues that come up, is that, you make these habit changes, and one of them seems to be health, or how you take care of yourself, or what you put into your body. It's amazing. First, it's a little bit difficult, but then I hear from a lot of people that, gosh, they never realized maybe how much better they feel now, because if not for this disease, or if not for this cancer or illness to come about, maybe some of these changes, even though you would hate to go through it, some of the things that have changed, and maybe it's diet, exercise, what you eat, what you put in your body, you actually end up feeling better down the road.
Yeah, I know before my first surgery, I think I've had like 4 or 5 surgeries, but before my first surgery, I have to say, I felt great. I mean, going into surgery, I was super healthy. I spent, at least 6 weeks before my first surgery, researching the best doctors, and, so just before I actually went on and did this. And, I really felt really good, because I cut out 100% carbs, 100% sugar, no drinking. Not that I was a big drinker anyway, but, I just cut out everything that would make things worse. Mm-hmm. And I did really well in all the surgeries. They were, the first surgery was 7.5 hours. And, it's a lot for your body to go through. So the best you can do before you go into a surgery is to be as healthy as you can be. so yeah, that was, and I'd say, chemo is very, very challenging. Obviously, especially in these times, you've got another layer of being careful with, the virus. So,
Right.
anyone going through it now, it's like you have to be triple, careful, and, have some tips like that on the website as well. But yeah, I just feel like for me, silver lining is meeting some incredibly amazing people, especially my nurses and my doctors and, my physical therapist and my concierge doctor and all these doctors and nurses and that are still friends today, because they're just, you make that bond, and I think it taught me to really appreciate my relationships. I was very fast paced and work always came first. And I think sometimes you don't really even realize that you are neglecting relationships. And so anyway, I had a lot of great people I met along the way that had gone through the journey before me, and that really, really stepped up and helped me understand what are you going to, all these terminologies that I had no idea about. So that was such a blessing for sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's so good to hear. So you're sticking with your regimen. Sounds like you're still on a ideal overall. It sounds like you eat pretty good. I know you exercise on a regular basis. That's for sure. I see you on the trail almost every weekend. So good for you. Do you do any other, obviously you hike, things like, what other exercise, or do you do meditation, or are there any other things like of that nature that you do?
So I do celery juice every day. As well, which I think it's been great for all over body. It's great for your skin. It's great for your insides. It's just a great thing. I'm actually starting a liver detox because I think, chemo does a real number on your liver. So I'm actually getting a little group together, and we're going to be starting a liver detox for, I think like 20, whatever, from November 1st till Thanksgiving. So if anyone wants to join in, you can, send me a message. We're going to have a little group that does that. Every other Thursday, I have a mindfulness discussion with clients and friends that Dave Rossi kind of heads up. And he picks a chapter out of his book that he's written, The Imperative Habit. And we just kind of go over, 1 week it was, okay, well, what's happiness? And basically, when you break it down, happiness is eliminating the things that make you unhappy. So, it's just kind of, also letting go of the things you can't control, and everything happens. There's just so many things that you can learn, which we all kind of do a little discussion group, and he heads it. And so that I feel has been super helpful. He also has a meditation class that audio thing that meditation is super important. I do a Bible study on Monday nights and a neighborhood one on Tuesday nights. And I think that just keeps me, in church Sunday, and I feel like it just keeps you focused on what's important and supporting each other, really. When people say, I need prayers, the more people that pray, the better. Honestly, it's like I couldn't have gotten through without that. So
yeah, I agree. As you're talking to that, one of the things that came to my mind, Tania, was I've said this before, and I often try to practice it myself, and I don't do a very good job at it. And that is, when you're younger, you think back when you were a kid, you were so playful, and you went out and you did things that were fun, and you laughed more, and you had a bunch of friends. You went out and you were, amazed by more things. You were in awe by things because it was either the first time you saw it or experienced it or whatever. Somehow along the way, as adults, we start gathering this wonderful thing called responsibility and relationships and business and work and all these things. And next thing you know, if you're really not in tune or aware of it, and I'm trying to work on this every day now too, is like, go out and do something joyful or learn something new or do something that makes you go, wow, I didn't know that, or that'd be interesting to learn. Man, I feel like I've lost out on a lot of those things the last several years, but the key is trying to bring awareness to that and do something about it. And that's what kind of reminded me as you were taking us through that journey there.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I appreciate that, Joe. I feel like there was one particular time that just sticks out in my mind where I was listening to Rick Warren's Daily Hope. I lived there. And I never got sick of it. It was always, definitely my first chemo, I was overserved, and they gave me too much compared to my weight, and I was losing weight pretty quickly, and I couldn't walk, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't get up, I can't even get to the shower. Like I laid there and I looked out the window and I went, oh my gosh, look at that tree, how beautiful is that? Or look at the sky. And it's like it's like we just forget all these things because we're so busy thinking about the next deal or the next task. And it's, I mean, I have to remind myself still, like, slow down, take a look at it, remember that state you were in at the time. And when you looked out the window, and I was just super appreciative of, like, wow, I get another day. How cool is that?
Yeah. It is.
But yeah, it's like sometimes we lose sight of it with everything going on, but it's, I think we just have to keep remembering that each moment is just such a blessing, and life can change in just a moment, right?
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, we hear it all the time, and, again, most of us don't practice it that well. I know I don't, but we hear it all the time, live in the moment, be in the moment. It's something, I guess, would really every morning or sometime during the day to remind yourself with. But so it sounds like the great news is you got through this and you continue to use the same kind of tools, spiritual guidance, religious beliefs, prayers, and exercise and wellness and treating your body different. So, I mean, that's outstanding. With just a few minutes left to go, I want to have you give the website out again and more, but what might be your message again as we kind of finish up the show to those that are maybe a little bit worried about whether they have a gene or not, or what they should do? Or I'm sure there's a ton of websites. I know yours is your journey and your experience, but what might be some of the other things people could do to help support this great cause of the month of breast awareness?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have even cousins on my side of my dad's side of the family that, won't get tested because they don't want to know. And, I respect whatever anyone's decision is, but I just feel like knowledge is power. So if you know about these genes that are out there and mutations, it doesn't mean it's going to express itself. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it will definitely make you look at your life and how you need to live it. So, I can't stress enough. Obviously, you can't make people go get tested, but I just have a big, big push for that because I feel like if it can save lives, and if what I went through and my challenges and my suffering, it can't all be for nothing. So I personally learned a lot, and I'm grateful for the growth. There's not one day that I was angry. So I'm grateful for it. And I had the most incredible friends, coworkers, company, family, boyfriend at the time, just so many amazing things. My mom was incredible, and my family. So people don't have to get to that cancer point if they can just, not be blindsided by it, and just encourage everybody to do the testing, whether it's the cancer gene or the heart disease gene or the diabetes gene or whatever that is, so that you can have more control of your life and to do the things you need to do to live a healthier, longer life. So I can't stress that enough.
That's great. What is if you give us the website again?
Sure. It's www.blindsidedbybrca.com. So it's just the acronym BRCA. I don't put the BRCA2 or BRCA1 on there. So blindsidedbybrca.com. And so that's the website. You can send me a message on there as well. I'll get it. But basically it's just a landing page with a lot of information. And that's the site. And I hope it helps people. I hope that people can be proactive and not have to go through the full cancer and chemo and all that stuff. So that's great. So the website, they could reach you or send you a message or ask you anything at that point, and that's a great way for them to reach out and contact you as well. Yeah, that's the best spot. So well, I thank you for having me on today to bring awareness to this, and I hope that the people that are fighting just know that you're never alone and keep fighting. And those of you that have family members, just all you can do is be supportive. So.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and thank you. And I'll have to say that Tania's great about coming to me. She knows I've done a podcast for years, and we all get busy, as we talked about a few minutes ago. But I'll say on this podcast right now, because I try to do this every once in a while too, if you're listening to this podcast and you hear it and you go, gee, I didn't know there was an outlet or a vehicle for this, and it doesn't matter what the cause is. It really doesn't. If it's dear to your heart or you're passionate about something and you'd like to come on and talk about that, if you could help people or an organization, anything, because even right now, especially right now with COVID-19, it's a whole different topic, but there are so many people suffering from additional anxiety and depression and suicide, and I could go on. And the reality is there's a lot of people suffering for many different reasons. So whatever we could do, whatever I could do to help get that message out like today, I want to do that. So anyone listening, feel free to check in with me as well. And Tania, thanks again. Great story.
Yeah. And then also the discussion groups we do every other Thursday. If anyone wants to join that, it's a different topic every week. We've also covered depression and COVID, anything like that. So if anyone would like to join, send me a message. We're happy to add you to the Zoom meeting. So.
Great. Sounds good. Well, thanks again. We see you all the time, so it's good that we do that. And I'm sure we'll see you again soon. And as always, we always wish you the best. And but I'm sure I'll see you in the next couple of days.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Take care.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks again to Tania Cheater for coming on and talking to us a little bit about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's October, and a lot of people, as most people know that are listening to this, suffer from some form of cancer, but this focuses on breast cancer, of course. So thanks again for checking in, listening to the show. For more information, you can go to RERL-1741-Breast.com. Take care until next time.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.